Good afternoon, Mr. Manoj. Can you hear us?
Yes. Good afternoon. Yes. Actually, I have to rush for, like there is one meeting today, which is clashing with your program. So some VIP coming from India, which is kind of decided a little late. So we could not reschedule. So, but anyway, let's try to manage.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So I think I'm against the light. So let me change my direction to the light. Just give me 1 second because it's making my face look dark. Yeah. So look more handsome now. Okay. So I think, shall we start now?
Yes, we can start.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for joining our session today. I would like to thank our corporate member, VIVA Consultancy, for coming out and helping out with such an important topic, which is there is so much of noise about it. People are still not clear, like what is the right thing and what they should do and what they should not, because the amount of money due to this new social security compulsory insurance is heavy, like it's almost 20%, 22%, I think. So, and with that kind of amount money going into the state exchequer, they're not sure like what benefit they will get, number one. Number two, if it is with them, then what will happen when they leave the country without, so is it going to come back to them or not? So I think this is one very burning question. First of all, whether they need to do it for sure or not. And if they have to do, like whether they'll be able to get any benefit out of it. Number three, when they leave the country, will they be able to get this money back? So with all this, I think these questions will be addressed today. So with this, I leave the session to VIVA Consultancy to give an idea to the people like what exactly this new law is and then how they can benefit or kind of get can bypass it also if needed. So over to you, VIVA.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Manoj. So I think we can have the proper question answer for most of your query or question regarding to the compulsory insurance for the foreigner investor in Vietnam, especially for the investor from India.
Great, that's awesome. So yeah, so I think you've always been a great help. So this is once again, like we need your help for the clarity on this issue. So go ahead, please.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. We will present our key topic with the general ideas, and the members can send us more query or question, and we can consult directly on every of your query.
Thank you. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Today, before we present about the compulsory insurance, Mr. Pon, our lawyer, will present to you about the market entry procedure at the foreigner in Vietnam. You may concern how to get the entry procedure in Vietnam, especially how to identify the form of business, how to know about the tax incentive in Vietnam, and the required paper for company registration in Vietnam. So I would like to introduce Mr. Paul. He's our lawyer who practices in local business laws and regulation. He will introduce and present to you about the market entry procedure in Vietnam. Mr. Paul.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hai. So hello everyone. So today I'm really proud to attend the webinar today to introduce you about general perspective of the way the foreign investor and foreign worker enter into Vietnam and reside in Vietnam. So our key topics today will conclude in the four parts on screen. The first one I will introduce you about the market entries and also about the way we exit the country and the solution of the company. Then Mr. Hai will discuss with you about some required compliance procedure during the operations and a new regulation on the compulsory social insurance from 2022. Then he will have a small introduction about our VIVA Business Consulting. So let's begin with the market entry procedures. So when a foreign investors come into Vietnam and establish a new incorporation or a new company, there are commonly three type of business form that we commonly face in the Vietnam's market. The first one of business entity form is the limited liability companies. The second is joint stock company, and the third one is the incorporated partnership company. Each kind of business form will have a different functions, different managerial, corporate governance, and we have a different benefit and all limitations. So upon your plannings coming to Vietnam and your plan about the way we control the company, we will have a respective suitable solution to establish a form of the company. Furthermore, we have, if you not really willing to establish legal entities or company in Vietnam, we have some other form like a representative office or a branch, a foreign branch office in Vietnam to have a commercial presence at first, and we explore new opportunities in the Vietnamese market in advance before have an official investment into establishing a company in Vietnam. So first, but when a foreign investor come to Vietnam for establishing a company, so please remember, keep in mind about the investment registration certificate. This is the key important thing that certify the foreign investor is allowed to invest into Vietnam, and it's also a protection for you when you withdraw, have a withdraw the company or withdraw the capital into or withdraw the profit into your foreign countries. And furthermore, the investment registration certificate is also endorsement document to help you to be granted a temporary resident card in Vietnam, allow you to residing in here in a long-term period. So after the foreign investor has been granted the investment registration certificate, we will establish a company through a process to be granted an enterprise registration certificate. This is the official document that is showing that you have been certified by the competent state agency to establish a legal entity in Vietnam, and we can conduct the business activities accordingly. So please remember, because the Vietnamese market is quite restricted for some special service business activities like trading activities or e-commerce activities or some business activity that we do not open fully. So we need to, so we after the investor has been granted the IRC or ERC, the company need to apply for the business license for some specific business activities. And we also have, if you open a restaurant, you open some a warehouse for the logistics services, for example, we also need some baby license like environmental license and fire protection license. Like some other countries in the world, the Vietnamese government also have some taxation policies on goods and services and other kind of income that derive from Vietnam countries. So we have the value added taxes. This is like some country call it the good and service tax, levy on the added value of consumer goods and services. We also have the corporate income tax, personal income tax like other countries. And if you are the foreign investor and you invest into some special business activities like applying the high technologies or you produce a software industry, we will have the Vietnamese government will have some tax holiday and tax incentive upon your activities. Like if you invest into the software company, you can have a tax holiday for about 10 years, and with the tax incentive for the corporate income tax is just about 10%. So furthermore, if you are you do some you exploit some natural resources. We also have some special kind of tax that may be on the environmental activities. And if you export or you do trading like export and import activities, we have the tax on it. For the personal activities, we also have the personal income tax and some compulsory social income tax that will be discharged on the foreign workers from 2022. This is table to showing you some specific taxes. So if you have the demand to take into detail about it, we after the webinar we will send it you to see it in the detail. So at the moment, the corporate income tax is in normal scenarios, the corporate income tax is levied at the rate of 20%. This is the flat rate, and the VAT. So we will have a vary from 0% to 10%. And especially in the COVID-19 situation, from until the last day of 2022, so some services and goods we just be charged the VAT about 8%. Before you when establishing to incorporate a company in Vietnam, so some legal requirement papers and legal paper that you should keep in mind is about the way the foreign investor need to show up, that you have personal identities, so like ID card or passport. You need to have a proof to prove your financial capabilities for the amount of investment that you invest into Vietnam. And some and you in general you should have a plan for 3 phases of the investment into Vietnam. The first one is that you need to have a plan for how about the amount of the investment capabilities, about the general directors, your corporate governance, and like the business activities and the location in Vietnam that you conduct the activities. So second thing, so after the first phase of planning, we will have the second phase is to register with the competent authorities. So in some specific some conditional business activities, we will have to explain like e-commerce or trading activities that you need to explain to the competent authority when you grant the IRC. The second phase of the investment activities is the pre-establishment. So some like I say that you need to apply for IRC or ERC, and for some conditional business, this also require business license or some baby license. So after the pre-establishment period, the third phase of when you establishing a company is you setting up a general activities for your company operations. Like we register for the e-invoice, we register for the red invoice of the company, or you open a bank account and you notify your sale to the DPI as called the Department of Investment and Planning of Ho Chi Minh City or some provincial level cities. And please keep in mind the timeline to contribute the capital into the company. In accordance with the law, it's usual. It's required for 90 days since the day the company has been granted the ERC. So please remember that deadline to inject the company that accurately and in a timely manner. So Mr. Hai, we continue our presentations.
Yes, thank you, Paul. So Mr. Paul already present to you about the business entry procedure in Vietnam. So you can identify how are the typical form of business in Vietnam, and what are the required papers for the registration procedures, and you also know what kind of the common tax in Vietnam and tax rate and tax incentive. For more detail, you can review on our slides, or you can connect with our team for any further query or question. So after the company registration, it means the market entry procedure. It's just a first step for business in Vietnam. So after registration, it means after establishment of your company in Vietnam, you should manage your business operation in line with the local laws and regulations until you withdraw your investment or withdraw your profits to your home country in the following years. So in Vietnam, there's a system of business laws, but we today would like to share to you some important required compliance procedure in Vietnam that any business entity should be compliant. Number one is about the business records management, and number two about the taxation, and number three about the employment relation, and number five about the tax and accounting. So we would like to share to you about the business records management. As you know, in Vietnam, most of the local competence agency will based on the business records to identify who you are, and for the any complaint procedures. For example, you should provide a business license or provide the labor contract tax report to the local competence agency at any time when you are requested. So we would like to share to you. You can see this is the standard business records. You should identify what kinds of the business records for your company, and you should collect the original records every day, every month, and keep it in your office for at least 5 or 10 years. And when you manage the business record properly, you can prove for your rights and obligations with the local competence agency. You are ready for any query or question. And a system of business records can support you for the internal management. You can see here's one of our sample for business records. This is the customer records, and this is the administration records, and this is the legal records. The legal records including the enterprise registration certificate, investment registration certificates, and other business permits, and also the investor profile in the legal business records. So we recommend you to manage the legal business record for your business operation in Vietnam. It's very important. It will relate to your business, relate to your rights and obligations in like 3, 5, or even 10 years in Vietnam. Fail to manage the business record, you cannot manage the risk, and you cannot protect your rights and obligations with the local competent state agency and with your partner and even with your employees. For example, when your employees have some violation, you cannot show the labor contract, you cannot show the internal labor regulation, so you cannot prove for your rights as the employer. And when the employer bring the case to the court will make the decision, the right decision for your employees, no matter they have any violation or not. After the business records management, employment relation is also very important. So you should manage the employment relation in Vietnam properly in the three key sections, 3 key points. Number one, the relation between the employer and the employees. And number two, the relation between the employer and the compulsory insurance, the labor department. And number three, the relation between the employer and the tax department. So employment relation is not simple as the payroll or labor contract. You should manage in a system. including the relation between you and the employee and with the labor department and also with the tax department. Why? Because with the employees, you should manage their employee profile, labor contract, monthly payroll, compulsory insurance, personal income tax, and the liquidation when they leave from the company. If you cannot manage the labor contract or you cannot manage the payroll properly, there will be a lot of issue in the future, and maybe your employee have some violation with your company, some interest conflict with your company. You cannot manage and settle. And the second, the relation between the employer with the compulsory insurance and the labor department. You know, every month when you prepare the payroll, you should declare the compulsory insurance and personal income tax. The compulsory insurance usually including more than 20% for the employer and 10%, more than 10% for the employee. So the total will 32% you have to pay to the compulsory insurance. So the calculation and declaration is very important. After 2 or 3 years, the labor department may have some special inspection on your compliance of the compulsory insurance. And in the future, the tax department will review and compare your declaration of compulsory insurance and list of employees with the tax record. And after the business record management, employment relation, the taxation is also very important. You should be careful with 3 kinds of important tax in Vietnam. Number 1 is VAT, number 2 is CAT, and number 3 is PAT. VAT is add value tax. Is usually 10% on popular goods and service. You should know how to calculate the VAT and declare monthly, quarterly, properly to the competent state agency, especially for the tax department. And in case you do the export, you may have the tax refund. But for the tax refund, the VAT refund, you should follow the standard procedure. And besides the VAT, the CAT, corporate income tax, is also very important. It's 20% on your profit. Those profits will based on the audited financial statement. So your accountant team should prepare the accounting book and the financial statement very carefully, because the accounting book system and the financial statement will say something about your business activity in the past years. And the tax officer may have a lot of tax penalty and tax areas for your company based on the accounting books and financial statement. And there's not only 20% for the recollect tax, but also more penalty. And beside the business records management, employment relation, taxation, in the taxation, VAT, corporate income tax, and personal income tax is also very important. Personal income tax for the non-resident is 20% for any incomes in Vietnam. And personal income tax for the resident is from 5 to 35% based on the levels of incomes. So you should be very careful on the personal income tax, especially personal income tax for a foreigner. We are experienced with many violations, many cases that foreigners who are working in Vietnam cannot comply fully with the tax regulation, and they facing a lot of trouble with the tax department when they leave from Vietnam, or when the tax department do the tax inspection. So for the taxation, you should be careful on the VAT, CAT, and PAT. For more detail, you can contact directly with us for a specific case. And after the business record management, employment relation, taxation, you also have to be comply with the accounting and auditing in Vietnam. At the foreigner invest company in Vietnam, you should prepare the accounting book system in accordance with the Vietnam accounting standards. And your annually financial statement should be audited by independent auditing firm. So how to manage the accounting books how to manage the financial statement and the auditing procedures. We can support you fully in detail. You can contact with us or you can review in our slides. So after Mr. Pon presentation on the market entry, you can understand how is the typical form of business in Vietnam, what are the tax incentives, tax rate, and what are the required paper for company registration in Vietnam. And I also have just present to you what are the typical required compliance procedure for a company in Vietnam, especially about the business record management, taxation, employment relation, and accounting and auditing. Now, Paul, you can share more topic to.
Thank you. So continue to your part. I just want to say some more portions about the investment visa and the work permit and all the kind of other visa for the foreign workers. So for the foreign investors who has been granted the IRC, which is in investment registration certificate in short. So if you have the investment capital injections less than 3 billion VND, you will be allowed visa DT4, which is not exist 12 months. And if you have a further exist 3 billion investment capitals, you will have a chance opportunities to be granted the temporary resident card DT1, DT2, or DT3 upon your threshold of your amount of investment accordingly. So if you have at least 3 billion Vietnam dong capital amount into Vietnam, so you will be allowed eligible for being granted a temporary resident card for your longer time residing in Vietnam. So beside the foreign investor, we have the foreign workers. So please keep in mind when you enter to work in Vietnam, you need to be granted a work permit or work permit exemption certificate in some scenario where you are eligible to be exempted from the work permit. So this is the two endorsement document for you to be granted the working visa or a temporary resident card for the foreign workers, which is not is it 2 years in a row.
So regard to the
this is the two common scenarios where we from our experience we are facing a lot. But upon case basis, we can give you a full consultancies for your conditions and the requirement that apply to you to whether or not you are allowed eligible for a temporary resident card or a work permit in Vietnam.
Yes. So Paul, Mr. Paul have just present to you about the visa in Vietnam, especially visa for the investor and visa for the expertise or manager in Vietnam. As you are the foreign invest company in Vietnam, you are maybe the investor or you may bring the foreigner employees to Vietnam. So most of the case, you should obtain the work permit. And according to the work permit, you can apply for the temporary resident card as a multiple visa, which is valid for every 2 years. And in case you are the investor, depending on the level of contribution capital, you can obtain the investment visa from DT1 to DT4, and the valid from 1 year to 10 years. That's correct. Yeah. And beside the investment visa, working visa, you can apply the relative visa for your dependent. For example, in case you are the investor, you can obtain the DT3, which is 3 years investment visa. Accordingly, your wife or your children or your parent can apply for the same TLC with the same period. So for the detail how to manage the visa, business visa, working visa, investment visa for you and for your dependent, you can contact with us on case by case. We can advise you how are the conditions, how are the required paper, and how the procedures.
So I will carry on.
Yeah.
So this is just a small discussion about the visas and investment temporary card. So like one-stop solutions, we advise you to the market entrance procedures, the way you operate the companies, and if in case you have a demand to assist the countries and close the business in Vietnam, we will provide you services and consultancies for the dissolution of the company. So we will have a many way to exit the companies or exit the investment from Vietnam. Like we can transfer the portion of capital, you can transfer your shares in the company into other parties, or we can have a closer procedure of a company. So in this part, I will discuss with you about the dissolution, the process, and some fundamentals issues that you should keep in mind. So the dissolutions of a company is a really conditional process that is strictly required have a strict severe step required by the competent state agencies. So the step one is you need to have a decision and notification to the competent state agency. Like you need to have a company's board resolutions on the decision to dissolve the company. Then you need to have official notifications and publicize your notification publicly and notify that the decision to the competent state agency. So the fundamental step in here is that you need to have a plan to resolve all your debt obligation and financial obligation with all the relevant parties of the companies. So in accordance with the company law of Vietnam, the Vietnamese law really care about the employees and the labor relationship. So remember, the first application of your company is to resolve with the employees. So like we need to settle all the employment relationship. You need to pay their salaries, pay their social insurance, and complete all financial obligation with the employee in advance. And then you need to resolve all the financial obligation towards the tax authorities, and any kind of tax debt need to be resolved prior to be officially close the company. And the three priority of the financial debt applications that you need to be resolved is with your commercial parties, your commercial vendors, or anyone who have the business relationship with your companies, and you need to resolve all that relationship before officially close the company. So after you have settled out all the debt on the financial application, we will have to the final paperwork and send to the competent state agencies to close the company. So within the 180 days from the day you notify the state agencies, so you will if there is no complaint about your company status, about your company financial obligations, you will officially close down the business and can withdraw and if you and can withdraw the capital investment out of Vietnam. So in the fourth part, Mr. Hai, our directors will talk about the new regulation on the compulsory social insurance for the apply for the employees and employer from 2022.
Yes, thank you, Paul. So before present detail about the compulsory insurance for foreigner in 2022, we would like to review our presentation. The topic number one is for the market entry, where you can find how are the form of business in Vietnam, the tax incentive, tax rate, and how the required complaint procedure. And the second topic is about the required complaint procedure for a company in Vietnam. For the required complaint procedure for a company in Vietnam, you should be very careful with the four key complaint procedure. Number one is business record management. Number two, the taxation. Number 3, employment relation. And number 4, accounting and auditing. And after the required compliance procedure, you may consider to close your company in Vietnam. There's many reasons to consider to close your company in Vietnam. Maybe you want to stop business in Vietnam and withdraw your investment and your profit to your home country or to other country. Or you just want to close this company, this business industry, and move to another better business industry. Or sometimes you just want to set up a new company for the new business plan. So many reasons to close a company in Vietnam. But for any reason, any case you want to close a company in Vietnam, you should go with 3 key steps. Number 1, you should have the official decision and register with the competent state agency. And number 2, you should clear on the debt obligation, especially the debt on the with your employee, with the compulsory insurance, and with the tax obligation. And step number 3, after you clear on the obligation, you can return the business license and legal stamp and close your bank account and withdraw on your balance investment, capital or profit to your home country. So I think our 3 key topics is bring something useful for you. And now we will move to our key topic today. It's about the compulsory insurance for a foreigner in Vietnam. You know, Vietnam is a member of WTO since 2007, and Vietnam have to follow the international laws. And since 2007 until today, Vietnam policy only open for many foreigners who can work in Vietnam. And there's the regulation on compulsory insurance for foreigners since 2018, and the government intend to collect the compulsory insurance in early of 2019. However, it delayed until January 2022. It's been early this year. So today we will share to you who have to pay the compulsory insurance in Vietnam, the foreigner employees in Vietnam who have to pay the compulsory insurance, and what are the base salary to calculate the compulsory insurance, and what are the rate to calculate the compulsory insurance, and especially how to manage your compulsory insurance in Vietnam, how to manage your interest, and if you want to withdraw or to terminate the compulsory insurance in Vietnam. So first, I would like to confirm to you, Vietnam have officially issued the new regulation, the decree 143/1918, and come in force in January 2022, that most on the foreigner who are working in Vietnam with the work permit or have the labor contract valid from 1 year and above have to pay the compulsory insurance in Vietnam. So this it will impact to most of the foreigner experts in Vietnam, because if a foreigner, especially the expert, the manager or the investor want to work in Vietnam, they have to apply for the work permit. So if you have a work permit from January 2022, you have to declare and pay compulsory insurance. So this is very important. If you not manage and declare and pay compulsory insurance today, next 2 or 3 years, you have to face with a lot of trouble with the labor department when you want to leave from Vietnam, or you want to settle your obligation in Vietnam. And even if your company want to close, you want to disclose your company, you also have to clear on the compulsory insurance obligation for a foreigner. So we recommend you to be careful and aware of this regulation, and cooperate with your HR department or your accountant to manage your compulsory insurance, especially for a person who have the official work permit in Vietnam. You know, if you are work in Vietnam under expertise or manager or even investor, you should apply for the work permit. So you should be careful and take care for your compulsory insurance. And what are the base for calculation of the compulsory insurance? according to the labor laws and compulsory insurance regulation. The base for calculate the compulsory insurance is the salary in the labor contract and any benefits related to the salary. However, the maximum compulsory insurance calculation, it will not exceed 20 times on the basic salary. Currently, the basic salary in Vietnam is 1,490,000 VND. So 20 times is 29,800,000 VND. So in any case, the foreigner will pay the compulsory insurance. Total is 30% on 29,800,000 VND. In some case, in case of your HR manager, your accountant, yes, in case you want to optimize, you can declare the less, declare your salary for compulsory insurance less than 29,800,000. And what are the rates for the compulsory insurance? The total compulsory insurance for the employer and employee is 30%, which is 9.5% for the employee and 20.5% for the employer. So every month when you prepare the payroll, as the employer, you should deduct 9.5% on the salary before you pay the net salary for the foreigner employees, and total with 20.5% from the employer and pay to the social insurance agency. This is very important, and you should declare and pay monthly. Otherwise, you have to pay the late payment with the social agency. So, what are the benefits for the foreigner when they pay the compulsory insurance in Vietnam? So, according to the local insurance regulation in insurance in Vietnam, the foreigner when pay the compulsory insurance, they have the benefits in sickness, maternity, occupational accident, disease, and retirement or death. But we understand most of the foreigner will not work in Vietnam for long term, and you may have the international medical insurance. So you may not care much about the medical insurance benefit, but 30% on compulsory insurance is a big amount every month. So you should consider the case that you can withdraw your pay insurance. So only in case you leave from Vietnam, the typical case you can withdraw the compulsory insurance that you stop work in Vietnam, you terminate on of your employment and leave from Vietnam, then you can request the competent state agency to refund the pay compulsory insurance for you. Here we will not discuss much about the retirement, because I think you will not retire, get the retirement salary in Vietnam. So the most common, the typical case that you can withdraw your pay compulsory insurance is when you leave from Vietnam and stop working in Vietnam. So in order to withdraw your compulsory insurance when you leave from Vietnam, we recommend you from today, you should manage your employment records properly from the appointment letter, labor contract, personal income tax declaration and payment, and compulsory insurance every month, every quarter, and annually. You should manage your business records for your employment relation properly, so that not 3 or 5 years or even 10 years when you leave from Vietnam, it's easy for you to clear on the tax obligation, and you can withdraw your compulsory insurance, which is you have to pay every month from 2022. So for today, we just present to you about the general regulation on compulsory insurance for foreigner in Vietnam, so you can know when is the compulsory insurance is mandatory for a foreigner, and who have to pay the compulsory insurance, what are the base salary to calculate the compulsory insurance, and the rate for the employer and rate for the employee, and case which the foreigner employee can withdraw their paid compulsory insurance. For more detail and how to manage your employment relation, how to manage your employment records in Vietnam, you can contact with us for more detail. Our team can support you on case by case. So today we have just present to you key 4 topics. Number 1 is the market entry. Number 3 is about the required compliance procedure for a company in Vietnam. And number 3 is how to dissolution a company in Vietnam. And number 4 is the compulsory insurance for foreigner in Vietnam since January 2022. This is a general presentation. You can find more detail in our slides, which it will be sent to your email today. And if you have any further query or question, you can contact directly with our team. We will give you the free consulting for any query or question.
Thank you, Mr. Hai. So that's all about our presentation today. So if you have any queries or any concern at the moment, please type into the inbox chat box or directly talking to us so that we can explain and answer to you directly here. And in case we don't have not much time to answer, we can answer you by our email and send you directly and answer all of your concern.
Yes, we are ready for any of your query or question regarding to the market entry, regarding to the required compliance procedure for operating the company in Vietnam or closing the company in Vietnam, especially the compulsory insurance for foreigner.
Oh, I saw one question of Mr. Adam in the chat box. He asked that, is there any requirement on the chapter capitals, the minimum amount, and when should it be contributed? So let me answer you these questions. Except for some special business like financial services or employment services and some logistics services, is require minimum chapter capitals. So in common cases, and Vietnamese government is not required, does not require the minimum chapter capitals. So I consult to you that you should have an optimal plan and access your investment amount capital to have a proper plan and about the amount of investment and the timeline for your injections into Vietnamese entities. So in more detail, I just suggest you to give me more detail about your business so that we can check and whether or not it have a minimum required charter capitals.
Yes, by law, there's no limit in the charter capital. However, your investment capital should be fair enough with your activity in Vietnam. Because the charter capital will relate to the capital contribution, and you can transfer your investment from overseas to Vietnam into the capital account before to the payment account, and later on transfer to pay for your investment, your asset, your expense in Vietnam, and it will relate to your financial statement. So you cannot operate a company with $1 in Vietnam because you cannot pay for the office rental, for your employee, for your equipment. So it's better you can consider your actual business in Vietnam and consider for the investment capital. We would like to detail to you that you should be separate between the investment capital and charter capital. Investment capital can be $1 million US, but the charter capital can be 200 million, and it's different, and with also different in the legal requirement.
So in general, it should be reasonable enough for your investment and for your actual business in Vietnam. So another question for Mr. Stock is like.
No, sorry, Mr. Adam wants to question about the work permit. Yeah.
Got about a question of Mr. Talk. business license replace investment certificate. So that in general, the investment certificate is a document that granted to the foreign investor to certify that the foreign investor has been allowed to invest
in
into
Vietnam
Vietnam
in specific industry.
yeah, in specific industry and in specific amounts of capital injections.
Yes.
So, so about a business license, it is a license for the company business activities. It's not granted to the foreign investor. It's granted to the company, the legal entity in Vietnam, for some conditional business such as e-commerce activities or trading activities and goods distribution services in Vietnam. And only those conditional business that the legal entity, the company is conducting is required the business license, and not all business is required a business license.
Yes. So in Vietnam, typically there will be three kind of business license. Number one is the investment license or IRC. It means investment registration certificate. Number two, ERC. It means enterprise registration certificate. And number three, business license. So number one, the IRC is a document to prove for the and allow the foreigner can invest in Vietnam. They can transfer their capital and for some specific business activity in Vietnam. So a foreigner cannot invest in Vietnam without investment license. And for the ESC, it means enterprise registration certificate. It's a document allow a local business entity can operate under the local business laws and regulations. And the business license is or trading license is a document allow the foreigner to do the trading activity in Vietnam, especially in the retail. If as a foreigner you are still limited in trading activity in Vietnam. For example, if you want to open more outlet in Ho Chi Minh City or in Hanoi, you should apply for the business license before you can do the retailer activity or open more outlets in Vietnam. So these three kind of business license cannot replace with each other. It's separate business license and have separate function.
That's correct. So it's independent.
Yeah, independent.
So another question. I hope that our answer is satisfy your demand and your concern. So another question from Ms. Thủy Lê. If I want to import more product, will I have to have S code in the IRC?
Yes, of course. A business when you establish a company, you have the right to do the import export. However, the import export activity, the goods should be within the register business code in your investment license or in your enterprise registration certificate. So as a foreigner, usually you should register your business code in your investment license, and you only can import export within the register business code in the ISC. If you want to import more, you can expand your business scope. The procedure to expand your business scope is within 3 or 10 days.
Mr. Book has a question for Viva. If employees is appointed as a member of the board of directors of a joint stock company, will he be exempt from the work permit? If yes, what is the requirement? The contribution mentioned in the degree is for individual contribution of a company contribution value as a whole. So I will answer.
Yes.
So let me answer the question for Mr. Brook. So about the work permit exemption policies that Vietnamese government granted to the foreign investor is that the foreign is applicable and eligible for those who is a foreign investors have at least 3 billion Vietnam dollars investment capital into Vietnam and holding executive positions in the board of directors. It means that you need to qualify two conditions. The first condition is the amount of capital injections. The second condition is you have a holding an executive position in the board of directors.
So in this case, we should separate between the investor and the employees. Investor who are the owner, who own the capital. So in case the investor own the capital from 3 billion, they are exempt from the work permit. But in case the employees, they are the representative for the capital of the owner, so they still have to apply for the work permit.
So another question from Mr. Catherine Tan: if I'm a director or legal rep of a company, do I need a work permit? In common sense, we say that the directors is a managerial position in the company, so most of the case is required work permit unless you enter and work in Vietnam for less than 30 days and not exist 3 times in a year. So which means that you are directors and a legal rep in our company, and you to work in Vietnam for a short day of times on a short day period. So you will be eligible for a work permit exemption. In such case, in another case, we will have to assess whether you have met a condition for foreign investors, or you have any other scenarios like you have you marry a Vietnamese person in Vietnam, whether or not to be eligible for a work permit exemption.
Yes, so in case of work permit exemption, you may have exemption from the compulsory insurance also.
Thank you, Mr. Tan. So if anyone has a question, just you can open the mic to talk directly to us, or you can type into chat box. So what we can directly answer and understand you more.
Yes, you can say to us if you have any further query or questions regarding to the work permit, to the temporary resident card or compulsory insurance for foreigner in Vietnam. And in case you cannot, if you don't have any further query or question today, you can keep our contact info in the left end page of the slides. You can find our contact info. You can send any of your query or question to our email. So our team will respond to you within 24 hours. So thank you for your attendance today. Especially thank you for Mr. Manoj, who support us to connect with you as the member of Indian Chamber in Vietnam. So VIVA is a business consulting in Vietnam since 2006. We have been providing service for many thousands of foreigner investors in Vietnam, and we have also many foreigner investors from India, and many of the members of Indian Chamber is our clients. So we are happy to support you. Any query or question regarding to the local business laws and regulations, just contact with us. We will assign our expertise team who have the practice in the local business laws regulation to support you on case by case. We are provider free consulting for any member of the Indian Chamber. And thanks for joining us today. We also have special promotion for any members who joined the webinar today. The detail of promotion we email to you today and attached with our slides where you can find more detail for our presentation today.